Hello guys, welcome back to another Genshin video. So as many of you do know, the Lantern Rite event came out in Genshin Impact, and there's a very good reward you can choose in this event. Once you get enough coins, you can actually buy a free 4-star character out of these options. Now the question is, which one should you get if you want to boost your account the most? Before I advise you to pick anyone, I just want to say that if you want to get a new character or you really like a character, just go for it. If you want to get a new character, it's way more fun to get that character than get a constellation for a character, unless it really changes up the playstyle. This video is for people who either have all the characters or don't really care which way they choose, they just want to know what would help them the best. So with that out of the way, let me advise you on which 4-star you should pick from this event. So if you already don't know, we can choose from Xiangling, Beidou, Xingqiu, Ningguang, Chongyun, Xinyan, Yujin, and Yanfei. My top pick for the character you should choose is actually Xingqiu. If you don't have Xingqiu, please get him. He is so unbelievably good for pyro teams, cryo teams. He is actually insane. And he's even extremely good in taser comps. His elemental skill has insane scaling, and his elemental burst is actually so good because this can proc up so many times and do so much damage. He's one of the fastest hydro applicators in Genshin right now. But before you do try to choose Xingqiu, make sure that if you have any form of wanting to wish on the Xiangling or Ganyu banners, war on these banners before you pick Xingqiu. Because if you do Xingqiu for the free 4-star because you didn't have them, and then you end up with like 3 extra Xingqius, then you're just gonna kind of feel like you wasted your choice. And this will also go with Beidou and Yanfei as well, because they're both also on these banners. All of his constellations are actually really good as well, but the one that's mainly mostly impactful is actually the Constellation 6 because it allows his Weight Cutter to get a whole bunch more swords and allow him to generate energy. So I also would recommend getting him if you're at Constellation 5 Xingqiu and just want to get the last constellation to enhance him even further. And there you go, that's my first pick. My second pick is actually Xiangling. Everyone can get Xiangling for free through doing the Spiral Abyss at the very beginning of the game, and she's such a good unit. Her Power Nader has insane scaling and can trigger a reaction after each hit. It has no internal cooldown. But there is a catch to this choice. I only recommend to get Xiangling if you're about to get Constellation 4, because her Power Nader will last 4 extra seconds, which is a lot more damage for a lot more time. Her first constellation is also pretty good because Goba will actually reduce power res of opponents for 6 seconds, so it does pair nicely with the Power Nado. But I still think if you are going to go for Xiangling, try to get it if you're going for C4. Other than that, I don't really think you should really prioritize her, but she's still an insanely strong character. And Xiangling is also a great user of the catch, which you can get free at Refinement 5 during any point of the game once you reach Inazuma. So it's an amazing free-to-play weapon, and you can get a good constellation if you do choose this option. And there we go, that's my second pick. She just does so much power damage off-field, just like Xingqiu, but instead of Hydro, she is Pyro. My third choice for you to choose is actually Beidou. If you're starting to see a similarity between the characters, it's because characters that do a lot of off-field damage are highly valuable in Genshin. Her Stormbreaker basically allows your normal and charge attacks on hit to deal lightning strikes that can actually chain between opponents. It is so much damage, especially once you get certain constellations, because it actually increases the effectiveness of this ability. And a Tide Call is pretty nice too because it gives invincibility frames, and you can also do a full counter to do major electro damage. Now if you already have Beidou, I recommend you try to get Beidou if you're going for Constellation 2 or Constellation 6. Constellation 2 is so valuable because it will let those lightning strikes chain up to 2 more targets. And if you're just fighting 2 opponents, that means that lightning can jump between them 2 more times for even more insane damage. And her Constellation 6 is after using her burst, the electrical resistance of surrounding opponents will be decreased. So her burst is going to do 50% more damage on top of the more damage that you're going to get from her burst and also her C2. Her other constellations aren't too valuable, but her C5 is really nice for her because it does increase her burst as well. And she does use the Luxurious Sea Lord from the Moonchase Festival event that we got for free at Refinement 5, so she is also a great option if you have this weapon. But once again, she is on the Xiangling and Ganyu banners, so make sure you wish on these banners before choosing your Beidou to see what constellation you get, or if you even get it. And there we go, that is my number 3 pick. And this will actually mark the end of the off-field DPS trend, because we're starting to go into main DPS users and damage amplifier users. My fourth pick is actually Ningguang. Ningguang is my favorite character in the game, so I might be a little biased, but she is insanely good. Her Jade Screen does good solid geo damage, it will actually help block projectiles, and her Star Shadow will actually do even more damage when the Jade Screen is on the field nearby, so it will shoot out more Star Jades. So the damage really amps up. Now although I am a Ningguang main, there are some key constellations that you need to make her really amazing. And those constellations are her C2 and her C6. Luckily C2 is very early on and it will actually help the rotations of your Ningguang greatly and increase her damage by a crap ton. Cause now she can place her Jade Screen, use her burst, and then place her Jade Screen right after, because after using her burst, it will actually count as breaking the Jade Screen, so you can place it again. And it can actually happen every 6 seconds, so you can do this pretty often, so it's actually a really good constellation. And then a C6 is actually insane because now you can go Jade Screen, Burst, Jade Screen, and do a charge attack, and you'll have 7 Star Jades going at the opponent for major damage. Now her other 2 constellations are alright, like when a normal attack hits, it will do AoE damage. It's a little helpful for groups, but most of the time your Jade Screen will actually take care of those groups pretty nicely, and your Star Shadow does major damage and targets different enemies as well. I also recommend you do get Ningguang if you do have other Geo users. For example, Xiangling is actually having his V1 right now, and Xiangling and Ningguang are the best combo ever. Ningguang is really squishy, and Xiangling will make her not squishy, on top of that, giving her Geo Resonance, which will make her do even more damage. And she's also really good if you do pair her up with Beidou as well. So I do recommend you get Ningguang if you're trying to get C2 or C6, and you have other Geo users unlocked and leveled up. Now on to the next one. My next choice would actually be Yanfei. I don't have too much experience with her because as you can see she is only level 20 and I have no constellations for unlocked. But I do know if you do invest into a Yanfei that she can actually be really good, especially with Xingqiu, because those vaporized damage numbers are actually insane. She's also really similar to Ningguang, where she does normal attacks and then uses charge attacks to do more charge attack damage. Her best constellations though are Constellation 1 and Constellation 2, which is very good because they are both early on. Basically, when Yanfei has more charges when she uses a charge attack, it will reduce the stamina cost of the next charge attack for each stack. So this is really good at helping her consume stamina because she doesn't have a way to negate any stamina consumption like Ningguang does. And her second constellation increases the crit rate by 20% against enemies below 50%, so that is actually really nice. But another constellation I also want to talk about is Constellation 4. Now you might not want to choose Yanfei just because you want to get Constellation 4, but there's a really unique build you can do with Yanfei, where you can put Prototype Amber on her so she can heal, have a giant shield when she uses her burst, and her shield is actually really good. It's like better than Diana's, Thoma's, not as good as Zhongli's, but definitely above average than other shield users. And then a C6 is also pretty good, which will increase the maximum number of stacks you can get by 1. So honestly, all of the constellations are pretty nice and effective in different ways, so you can make the choice for yourself on if you want to get a constellation for her or just get her in general. But like I said earlier, she's also on the Xiangling and Ganyu banners, so make sure you roll on those before you pick Yanfei. The next character on my list is actually Yunjin. Now Yunjin is a Geo Polon user who really buffs normal attack DPSs. Her elemental skill is really similar to Beidou's, where you just do a slash of Geo damage, and if you time it correctly you can do a full counter. But her burst will actually increase normal attack damage of all party members based on a percentage of her defense. So she's really good for people like Yoimiya, physical DPS Zhongli, or normal attacking physical damage dealing bow characters. Now all of the constellations are honestly really good, but there are some key constellations that do stand out from the others. Like how in Constellation 2, after using her burst, all party members' normal attack damage will be increased by an additional 15% for 12 seconds. So that gives even more normal attack damage on top of the bonus she's already giving. Now her C6 is also really good because characters under the effect of a burst will also have their normal attack speed increased by 12%. That's also really good because there weren't too many ways to increase your normal attack speed in this game, so having this constellation is really nice on top of buffing your normal attack damage just to increase your DPS output by a lot. So those are the 2 constellations I really want you to try to get if you do want to get Yunjin. Her Constellation 3 is also really good though, because it will just buff the damage increase of your normal attacks by even more by giving you a burst a little bit more scaling. And on top of that, Yunjin can actually be used in many teams because her passives actually gives them more defense based on how many elemental types are in the party. But don't focus too much on it because I've heard the buff from this is pretty minuscule, but it is nice to know that if you have more elements, you are getting a little bit more of a damage buff. And there we go. Try to choose Yunjin if you do have normal attacking characters that deal a lot of damage, like Eula, Yoimiya, and physical bow users. And she's also one of the newest characters of the game, so I'm assuming that a lot of people will choose her just because a lot of people don't have her. Now on to the next character. Next up is Chongyun. Chongyun's pretty good, but I don't personally like him, but there are some ways that he could be used in great ways. For example, Shinhei just came out, and if you use Chongyun alongside Shinhei, Chongyun can actually do a lot of damage. The thing is that Chongyun's constellations aren't really that good, but there is one constellation that helps a lot, is actually his constellation 2. Elemental skills and bursts used inside his circle cryo field will actually have the cooldown reduced by 50%. Now this actually helps out his rotations a crap ton and makes them more viable in the game, and it's just a nice quality of life change. And his elemental skill will convert all sword, claymore, and polearm characters' normal and charge attacks to cryo within his field, and his elemental burst does a good amount of cryo damage. But honestly, other than that, there's not really much else to say about him. He's alright, I guess, and he's not that viable in the game right now, unless you want to use him with Shinhei. So I'd only advise if you get him if you have Shinhei, or already have him built up and need that constellation too. But other than that, I don't recommend really going for Chongyun at all. And then my last pick is actually Xinyan. I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think in any way, shape, or form should you really be going for Xinyan at all. She's honestly not that good, not that viable, and her elemental skill kinda still messes up sometimes and won't proc off fully. Cause with Xinyan's elemental skill, the more opponents you hit, the higher level her shield will be to increase its damage absorption and give a power burst every few seconds, but it messes up a lot of the time. Xinyan just requires a hyper investment to actually make her good, which isn't bad at all. If you do like her, just go for it, like I said in the beginning. But if you want to get someone that is going to help out your account, Xinyan's not the one. But if you do want to choose her, the best constellation she has is actually her constellation 2, where it will increase her burst's physical damage and its crit rate by 100%, and will automatically give her a level 3 shield. She also has a constellation to increase the physical resistance of opponents, and she'll also do less stamina consumption while doing charge attacks at C6, and get more damage based off of her defense, but it's, I don't know, I can't really explain it to you, it's not worth it. I don't think you should choose Xinyan at all, to be honest. I'm sorry Xinyan lovers, but I would rather them choose Xingqiu or Xiangling over Xinyan. And there we go, those are my picks for the 4-star characters you should choose to boost your account. Once again, if you really want the character or just want a new character, go for that character because it will be more fun for you if you play with a new character or with a character constellation that helps dramatically change the gameplay. Ningguang. But yeah, that's basically all. Those are the characters in order who I'd recommend you to choose. So yeah, that's all for me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.